Rabo mayo yo ya dede yo ya yes ya karane yo ya karane rabo mayo ye karane ma ye karana yo ya karane rabo mayo yo me ko yin so me ya yin so you ba nu ka kwen yo ya karane rabo mayo ya yo ga o ba nu sali e wo nu ka kwen wa yo ya karane rabo mayo yo ya o sa je mama wo ka du so get me me yo ake ya dogya wa ye yo o ka poya ye yo o ka mu ya dwe yo apo yo ya sia gada wana blebi e ka mai aye yo ya ka ga uban salio bnga pem kanu ka le dogubo ma ko to pala e pomo ni makati pata me kwa yia de ko mere kwa mi tu ya ka kan flo se mata ka ba me no sare ka go registration me kwa time here zu za yo ya za e waka yo ya le do ka ko idia why yo e ka ka la wai amen wasu wala la come sale bi e ko ma la ka nya la Bravo, Melomen was so good. Ola wa kwa preka, one wapa, ola da suwa yama. Kawana yake ayoko. Bravo, consomen wapo. Kadiso kapasale aliso kono yayi eka yayi wako wai. Bewa kodiso, one was so good. Ola wa kwa preka, sasalo ola da suwa wapo. Ma what's that what yakin? Oh, yes, what do I can? What lies what I go? Oh, let I pay you up. Ye there, Yanutino, ye like a champion, and no, ye go aside by. Oh, you're there, Connie. Oh, you're there, money. Men know what that good name. Yawa. Moyo, Yapo yo ya kara nene mi dura buma. Yo ya kara nene dura buma. Yo me ko yiso me ya yiso you ba nu ka kwen. Yo ya kara nene dura buma. Ya ke yo ga o ba nu sali e wo nu ka kwen wa. Yo ya kara nene dura buma. Yo ya me no wa ko ye wa pluka me wa pluka lo mere wa pure pa wa pura pite wa pure ya o como que yo hey yo ya no ko shanu ko cuando wa bona yo ya apo yo ya.
Good evening, folks. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for joining us. That's the Nima Princess that right there with us latest official video that Minister Jimamont Walker. Stay tuned. We're going to be right with you very shortly. For today's program, one of my special guests is standing by. We're going to get this program rolling. Stay tuned.
You are ya, but the Punuka, Wallo Akubona. Apo you are ya, but Jeffrey Nwaka, one not Otiana. Yeah, you are ya, and in Pupanuka, one not Otiana. Apo you are ya, in a Lompianuka, one low. You are to a yao, Akauya, yeah, you are so a yao. I know I bet I love I need my men. Bito for mama, ya well for mama. Bito for mama, you are never mama. Apo songa you are your ya well for mama. Bito for mama, you are never mama. Me and Donya you are your Papa uko mama. Shamito uko mama. Uko jane mama. Shamito, bito, bito, yawe. Shamito uko mama. Uko jane mama. Shamito uko mama. Udabiti mo meba. Shamito uko mama. Uko jane mama. Yagusu ywa yekara neme akara mo mai.
All right. We want to say a big thank you to Minister Jemima Walker for that contribution. That's a new piece. It's right under there. You can get that on YouTube as well. New release. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for sharing your event with us here. As usual, we are here to take on national community issue. Sometimes people do not agree with them, but that's the essence of a conversation. We must be able to have an honest conversations on critical things. That we always have different views and opinions, but it must be discussed in an objective fashion with respect for one another. One of my analysts is standing by it, and very shortly the other folks are going to be here. We want to have this conversation. The drama is always on. Again, after the midterm, what are some further again? We are getting another distraction. The GOL, that's the government of the Republic of Liberia, and the radio talk show host, Heron Costa. Once more, how long? What's from one thing to another? It all started yesterday, day before yesterday, from his post, as a matter of fact, around 4 o'clock, less than 5 minutes, and the government came up, boom, said, no, this is not how we are. I'm not sure why it is, but I think here a lot of distraction here is being caused by government here on itself. But we're going to have a conversation. I want to be playing his post, through his post, the announcement on his official podcast. That was yesterday, 4:03 p.m. And I believe that post, that it was less than 5 minutes when he announced that his network going to be having the relay, and all of a sudden we saw it, something burst into flame by the government of the Republic of Liberia to respond. And to welcome Victor the Great Banin, crew member right there in Minnesota, and all our viewers and listeners. So we're going to give you an honest conversation to what it means, what is a Muslims of the press, and what it entails on the democratic system as well. There are a lot of things I do not agree with, but I see this is a little bit over the top, and GOL seems to be distracting her own agenda. But this is Mr. Heron Costa, a political talk show host here, based in the USA. The government claimed to be a fugitive, but I'm not sure what are the charges that are being filed, and if so, what are any plans to expedite him? I remember I hosted the Solicitor General on this network here multiple times, and he vowed that he was going to be indicted, that yet to come. So I'm not sure the charges that have been brought against Mr. Costa. But let's listen to this, and let's listen to this and see what we're going to get. Stay tuned. I'm going to be back. Let me bring in my guy here, Mr. Mason. There's an analyst, Professor Asese Zawolo, going to be joining us here. Let me bring in, like he listen keenly here. We're going to discuss this because this is all about the free war. Okay, so if you're ready there, Mason. Okay, the guys are already here. The professor is always on time. I'm going to bring them right on the screen, so we're all going to have a taste of what it is, and then we can give you a fair discussion. There we go, from near the capital. That's himself, the man himself, Professor Asese Zawolo. There you see him, Mr. Mason is a senior contributor to the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv, the best of analysts. I'll try reaching out to all of the folks, the active players involved in it, the DRO toward the DRO-TV or at Radio Network, the Ministry of Information. I personally place a call to Press Secretary Solo Kebe, Deputy Smith Toby, is to no avail. And we hope to talk to other people here. But we're going to have our own talking point, our opinion. We're going to be expressing it here. Let me just go to this here, get this audio here, and then we can get this ball rolling. Stay tuned. Okay, let me see here. Let me see where this went somewhere. Just bear with me here, folks. I'm going to have this here very shortly. Okay, let me just bear with me. Let me just get this here. Then I'm going to have it here very, very, very shortly. Okay. Let's see here.
You would think that they would say, okay, the things we did that caused us to lose as badly as we did, we need to readjust, recalibrate, reset. But not with these people. Do you think the way we beat them in Bassa, the way we beat them in Montserrado, of all places, by 100% margin in Montserrado County, do you think, folks, these people, did it hit them? It didn't. It appears they didn't get the message. That powerful message across the country. Reverberating from Lofa, from Magibi, from Bapolu, from all over the country. You would think that they got the message, but it appears they didn't get the message. Now, folks, why am I interrupting your beautiful Sunday evening or afternoon to do this podcast? Mine as well. My afternoon was going very, very well until this thing happens. For the last several weeks, I have been working with Senator Yombli Kanga Lawrence, the lioness of the Liberian Senate, and Senator Darius DeLon, the light of the Liberian Senate, to begin to relay the Costa show on Senator Yombli Kanga Lawrence's radio station, D15. And D15 has all the people, all the documents are intact, up to date for the next 5 years. In fact, they recently got everything updated. Everything is perfect, perfect. This government just reissue all their papers or renew all their papers for up to 5 years. In fact, the new regulatory regime states that when you register, it's no longer yearly, it's 5 years. 5 years. That's the government. It is their own policy. It wasn't like that on the Ellen. They changed it. That's their own regime. So D15's papers are up to date for the next 5 years.
Okay. You heard this yet. We just want to make it to get it in your own words. So, but let me get this thing here quiet. Later that Mr. Henry Costa was also on the BBC. That's the BBC Focus on Africa. Speaking with them, expressing his view, his position. Let's listen to that. We're going to come to the government's own position as well. Government vows to GOL vows to enforce laws governing abuse of free press. But let's listen to what Henry Costa told BBC later this evening, about pretty close to 3 hours ago.
What does Mr. Costa make of the ban?
This clearly draconian act of media clampdown and attempt to curtail my freedom of speech and of expression. We are going to resist this. There is no legal basis for the government threatening a privately owned and operated, duly registered and licensed radio station from relaying or airing my radio talk show. The basis which they cite that I am a fugitive of justice, which is not the case. There was no case in court. I had not been charged with anything whatsoever upon my departure from the country. So there is no basis. And so we will resist it. It's absolute madness.
Okay. We will resist it. That's Henry Costa this afternoon, 3 hours ago from BBC. Following to its pronouncement yesterday, the government of the Republic of Liberia issued a statement as Minister Lane, Regent Linda Wood, right there, issue a statement. We want to be going to that. That's the work I see there when the media is being blindfolded with government. Those are things that happen. We want to be discussing all of that. Who is keeping us distracted from the main point? Let me bring in my gentlemen here, senior contributors of the Liberia Public Radio Lpr-Tv. Professor Asese Labozawa is here. Mr. Benson Mason And of course, our own Amos George. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome. Here we are. They have dig up another talking point here again after the hectic senatorial race. Here we are again. Should the government really be wasting her time, or should the government be focusing on this, or try to focus on some of the challenges ahead? Pa George.
Professor Zaulo, Mason, how you doing? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're hearing you loud and clear.
Yeah, how you doing? And obviously, also there's a complete nonsense.
This thing, is it warfare talking? So who is distracting who here? Who is fighting? Who is getting into a losing battle here?
The government is a complete nonsense on the part of the government. If you think you have case against Henry Kosa, why you cannot file a case? The man is not in hiding. You know where's the man. As far as concerned, Henry Kosa has not committed any crime, as far as I'm concerned. So why would you want to sanction his views? Today was the talk of all the radio stations in Monrovia. It was on VOA that the government shutting Costa station now don't want Costa to broadcast in Liberia. I think the government got more things, most important thing to think of. Then now you're making Costa popular again. The Adwa act law you pass, you say freedom of speech. You keep analyze it. So if you have a Costa say anything that you think has the potential to undermine the security of the state, you can take redress, go to the court. But you can't shut the station now, or you can't shut other stations that want to broadcast or podcast anything for him because you say that he's a danger to the state. Why a proof?
Okay.
Go to court.
Hold your peace right there. Let's give it a fair shot to each and every one. Missing. You gotta unmute your mic. Your microphone, you gotta unmute your mic. Okay, are you hearing me now? Missing, we're not still getting you. I don't know why. It's already unmuted, but we're not hearing you. Probably you need to go and come back here. Maybe you need to come back. I don't know why you came and muted off. So let me go to Professor Zaulota. Let me welcome my cousin, Ellis Kuyagate. I believe celebrated his birthday today. Happy birthday. How are you now? 25 or 24? Ellis Kuyagate. Good evening. It's right there in Carolina. Mason, are you getting us? Okay, let me just get him here. He's still not there. Professor?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me say this again.
Good evening.
What do I? Yeah, good. Yeah. What do I think?
Mm-hmm. The media. This is what here. This is what I have here. Let me just see. I don't know. This is what worth talking. Detour is actually started at the late Ella Lawrence, who is the husband of now Senator Nyomli Kanga Lawrence, the widow. That's the network. Believe they are work out some modality where he will relay his program subsequently. And soon he made that pronouncement. The government of the Republic of Liberia, GOL, by the Minister of Information, Ledger Hood, came up with this statement here on their official LENAT website. Government vows to enforce laws governing abuse of free speech. Have you had a chance to see that statement?
Yeah, I think I did.
Okay. So, is this where the government wants to go to right now, to get into another Pandora's conversations with a talk show host who will always express himself, even in the absence or the presence of D12 radio? He has a very huge platform. It's indisputable. Is that something that the governments really want to go into another fight?
I don't think the government wants to go into fight. I think what the government wants to go into right now is, one, to improve the infrastructure of our country. You may know that quite recently, President Weah's initiative, there was street lights placed in the Monrovia. The president recently told public schools in Monrovia to ascertain the conditions on which students were learning. That's the direction the government wants to go into. The government is proudly presently sponsoring, under its auspices, the county meet major reconciliation and peace driving.
They are distracting themselves, Professor. Those are those are.
So the government is doing the same thing. At the same time, the government has an obligation to protect free speech that is not vowed, that does not have the propensity to cause pandemonium in society. All the government of Liberia is saying is, look, we have decriminalized free speech. So people have the right to speak and to question the features of government on the things that they are doing. But that right does not extend to people inciting, using the right to speak, free speech, to incite people to engage in insurrection. You will note that in the United States we got free speech. The present president of the United States was recently impeached for engaging in a speech that was vile, that was insightful and divisive, and which brought shame and disgrace to the American democracy. That's what that's what the government of Liberia is trying to do, to prevent the situation that occurred in Washington, D.C. from happening in Monrovia, and to ensure that individuals who have a propensity to engage in such acts do not have a platform to propagate discord amongst our citizens. Look, our peace is fragile, and we have an obligation to protecting our fragile peace by resisting elements within our society or outside our society that are not committed to the rule of law. Fugitive of justice should not be a person that should be airing the voice on national radio. Let them come in, return to the country, address the charges that they have against them, and then maybe they can be able to freely operate once they are adjudicated and found not to be guilty.
Okay, thank you. This is something here. I have my own personal, not personal, but it's his expression. But a radio show would be a radio host. If media freedom is compromised, it will shrink democracy space, and government agency will be less accountable and transparent. You outlined very good and critical point here, things that the government is involving. But for the government to pivot 360 degrees at this time, I don't know I don't know up to this point in time. Probably I got to go out there to look out for it. Charges that the government has brought against Costa. I listened to him. He says some ridiculous things, no questions and if and bother about that. But look, I know he screwed all down the road there when there was a compromise. This is why when you want to court deal, he sure cut the deal when George Weah needed had a stand to be his to talk a talking point. He sure insisted to say, okay, I need my own frequency where he's going to have an absolute dominion over that frequency. That did not happen. That has come and gone. Passports and Fraga came about. No hair, no tear. They said we're going to investigate. We don't know the source as to how Mr. Costa, first and foremost, obtained that laissez-passer for which government claimed to be a fugitive. I don't know the charges that have been brought against him here. But I'm surprised. Ledger, who ran it on Charles Taylor, when Taylor shut Star Radio, he said they were mostly in the press. He's the guy now, someone saw it now and talking about the government will vow against free speech. So I'm wondering here, even if in the absence of Costa being on detour, he has millions of followers. They still listen to him. How many of these people listen to radio? They want to see people visually. You know, you have Professor Key on the other side here. So is the government extending her Muslims of these people to speech, or is they just trying to strike all here? Instead of them focusing here, why should they get into a fight? He has spoken with BBC. You're going to be going to VOA. So why giving this all on this unnecessary publicity to distract the same very government from doing that, when he's still going to be, when in the absence of that, he's still going to be on his platform to speak. So why should the government get into a battle that seems not to be a winning battle? Will they indict him? Will he be expedited? Is that the case, or what is the end result of this?
I don't know whether the government wants to extradite him. What the government wants to do is
stay on this network here multiple times. I yet to see that happening.
What the government wants to do is to ensure that people who violate the rule of law in Liberia will at some point in time, be bold enough and brave enough to stand and defend themselves. And if they can prove before a court of competent jurisdiction that they have done nothing wrong, they will be let free. You may know that several individuals have taken government to court. They have won their case and are being allowed to freely operate. Look, government will never strangulate the press.
So then, okay.
There's no president in Liberia more friendly to the press than President Weah. President Weah is a friend of the press. He has supported free speech. You know, he has even supported media institutions. He encourages people to speak up about the ills in society. So he has absolutely no reason whatsoever to strangulate the press. Look, those who are involved with this attempt, they are the ones who are trying to push the limits. And our government remains resolved to ensure that, you know the people. But this government remains resolved in ensuring that Liberians will exercise their freedom of speech in a way that does not undermine and threaten the safety and security of ordinary Liberians.
So let me ask you, Professor, before I go to Mason. Mason, your audio all right now? I don't know what. Are you there?
Mason got some bomb in store, so his audio will not work today.
The sedition hijacking the man. Oh,
maybe the information has hijacked his.
The Regible and Eugene Falcon.
Well, let me ask you, Professor, before I go to Mason. Mason, are you hearing us?
He's hearing us. He's laughing when we're talking, but he just
yeah, but I don't know why we're not. Mason, are you there? Why you settled there today? You don't even tell, and we're not hearing you.
Call Ledger. Who he said hearing us. He said yes, he's hearing us. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not hearing him. So
we can hear him.
So you working on it.
I'm not hearing you. You need to because he said you should have told me. Okay. Let me ask you, Professor. Is there any crime committed by Henry Costa?
Well, you are not guilty of a crime unless proven guilty.
Crime. Is there an alleged crime?
Mr. Henry Costa incriminated himself on the radio. He talked about entering the country illegally. He talked about falsifying a document to enter the country. And that's not my word. It's his own word.
Okay. I'm asking, so is there an alleged crime in that?
Well, it's alleged until he's proven guilty, until he comes to court and he's tried. And he was in
Liberia prior to his departure with the whole laissez-passer thing. Government had the chance to an effect. Government has the authority. I don't care who you are. Not above the law.
First of all, you got to understand several things. The government of Liberia was exercising exactly what we expect government to exercise. Henry Costa, in as much as he has been a very strong critic of the government, is to some extent a reputable individual. He had investments in Liberia. As far as the government was concerned, did not present any security risks to the country, except for his utterances. So the government expected him to have reported to the authorities to fight the charges against him, and for him, he chose to this. So he chose to be a fugitive of justice. It was his choice that is that is affecting him now. So it's not the government that made that decision to run away. He ran away.
Okay, yeah, are you hearing us?
We're hearing him now.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yeah. Okay, that's okay.
Okay, much better.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yeah. Okay, so give me a heads up. I know you did some little workout on your end there, so I don't know if you want to put a surprise, but he catch up with you. So
can you hear me now?
Yeah, we have you. Okay, so don't touch anything again. Just stay where it is, so as not to. Yeah, Professor, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's basically it. I think Mr. Costa chose to run away to be a renegade, to run away from justice. And so that's what's affecting him. You see, look, we gotta be very careful of the choices we make. I always tell young people in Liberia, be very careful of the choices you make, because they can come back to haunt you. I don't think if Mr. Costa had gone to court and faced those charges, we would be where we are today. But we cannot set the precedent for people to come in at the
Costa
country.
is not the accuser. Costa is not the accuser. I'm not I'm not here to
Not
defend.
an accuser.
I'm not a support. I don't. Some of his tone, his language, I'm not comfortable. But it is why he. I mean, that's how he talked to his base. Mason, are you okay now? We want to bring you in.
Yes, I'm okay.
Okay, thank you for joining us here. Is this things worth having a conversation, or are we just distracting real national issue? Why should the government dive into such a thing?
I don't know why our government continue to give credence and publicity to Mr. Costa. I really don't know why. Every time he surfaced, the government go after him. It push shoulder up a little bit. It makes him seem relevant. And that's something the government need to stop doing, especially when Mr. Costa have no criminal charge brought against him. Not one. There is no warrant arrest for the brother. So how can he be a fugitive when you have no warrant of arrest or when you have no criminal charges brought against him? Not one. I mean, all you do is let him speak if he got to speak. That's you're making him relevant. One, two, you're making his audience bigger. You're increasing the number of people that will listen to him and give credence when you go after him when he comes out. Listen, all you gotta do is to tell the
your audio. I don't know what's going on. Your audio, but just go ahead. Hopefully you can fix it. I don't know why it's breaking up. Yeah, go ahead.
all I expected the government to do was to just go to D15 and say, listen, D15, we understand you hosting Costa Show, but if there's any assault, any abuse, any foul language, we will hold you responsible because you are the broadcasting entity. So then we'll relay that. And in that case, the conversation will be civil. And he will speak, in a more profound way. Rather than going after him and saying, well, you can't. The moment you tell people that they can't broadcast, you heighten people's curiosity to hear what this person has to say. You make this person more relevant. You give the person a platform that is bigger, that should not be. And that's what I think the government is doing. There's no charges on him, of course, no public new charge.
Okay, let me go to George. You probably need to work on that audio too. I think it's kind of like buffering and things. George, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, this is something it gives people headache. The more you talk about it, I read his statement here, and what surprises me is Ledger who ran in, like I said, when what do you call it? Star was shut down. He said Geo Elta, then till at the time was Muslim price. So if anybody were to come on this network here and begin to get a strong voice, loud voice, expressing his or her view, then the government is simply telling me, okay, we're going to shut LPR down because they do not like what George is saying, or they do not like what Mason is saying, or they do not just like what Professor Zavlo is saying. It's a perfect interpretation of Muslim the press. However, if the government felt that Mr. Costa did wrong, allegedly, he was in the country, let us know the charges to be filed against him. I mean, I'm against some of his expression, the way he do his thing. But this brother has been very, very much successful to get under the skin of the government and to redirect government way of thinking, put aside their whole agenda, and just let their hair rolls into Costa. Now he's on BBC. Media loves this thing. These are the things media loves to play into. He was just on BBC about 3 hours ago. He will be going on VOA. Who knows? Al Jazeera and all of these people. And the more things happen, that give good presentation of that government to the foreign world, especially the business community, because they see that there's no freedom of speech in the country. Why, if the government feels that his voice is a threat, so far the only person I see really doing well within the Ministry of Information is Kwame Opa Weeks. He producing a lot of informative program instead of having fix or faction, fiction or faction, whatever things that he's having. If you think that he's doing Costa is a problem, find somebody, another media guru. The same time he's going to be on the slot, find somebody and put them on another network. All right, you have tons of network. Put in your side and see whether you can divide. But I think this is a complete. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Why you talk, George?
Mr. So let me say this. This is an attempt to muscle the press in Liberia. You remember we had the Solicitor General on the same issue. I did question about Costa. I asked him why they allowed Costa to leave the country when they knew that he entered on the fake document. He said, well, they were trying to do so, the country didn't want to do so, blah, blah, he said. But even with that, the thing, Costa is not in hiding. They know where to find Costa. This man is not online. So if you figure that you have a case against him, you can file a case against him right in America. You can hire a lawyer right here. But instead of doing it, they want to use another means to silence the voices of the Liberian people. That's how I call it. By threatening other radio stations not to air this man or podcast or broadcast or to relay it. We all know there are languages you cannot use on the air when broadcasting. There are languages, there are guidelines. So if someone do it, you can go after the station. But instead of that, you issue a statement. That doesn't make no sense. This is how people muscle the press. You know that when they have been going after Tim Magdalena, you know he appeared on the show here. You know that the government wants to kill him. He appeared on the show here. He appeared on the show. So it's not that they want to guide languages or statement of it included that way. Cause trouble in Liberia. What have Costa said that caused trouble in Liberia? Can they make any reference to it? No. Yeah. Look, Professor, let me say this. If you want to make reference, you figure that someone committed a crime, go to court. But you can't, that'll go and shut somebody free speech down because you feel that you are government. And this is what they are doing. Sheko Sherry of Freedom FM. He said one time that the VP, Joel Howard, have brought people to assassinate President Weah. Did they close Freedom FM down? Because no, it's Umar Sanse, someone who worked for the government. And that's it. Okay? President Weah has a radio station. Wilson Tappe has a radio station. The government had ELBC. They had LBS.
Why they can't find, there are people out there, why they can't find people to measure arm with him?
No, they cannot measure arm because you know what Costa said about them, 90% are facts. Because if they were not true, they'll come to debunk those issues, but they cannot respond to it. Because they know that the information is factual. So the only thing they can do to people who come with factual information is to muscle them, is to intimidate them. And this is what the Weah government is doing in Liberia. Do I agree with everything? Costa has his right to speak. Do I agree with everything Costa said? I don't think he said something. But it is his right. Just how I'm speaking, it is my right to say what I have to say. You like it or not. So if you feel that I'm seeing something that will undermine the peace and stability of the country, go to court to seek redress. That's what the law says. Okay, let the professor come in. Professor,
you've been around quite a while now. You know the history of Liberia. The last Samuel Doe try to crack down on the media. It doesn't work in his favor. The more vendettic and cantankerous human being, Charles Gange Taylor, he tried to do that with the media. It doesn't work that way, especially with the time being significantly involved. Media has gone to digital, to no analog again. It's not like those days of ERBC, maybe James Gomiant, Wale Gampa, and all of those people. And only ERWA more or less is a Christian network. It's not the case. Anybody can grab their cell phone now and put out media institutions, and people are going to follow them, and all of that. So why should this government be thinking that it should work? I'm not saying that people should do whatever they want to do, but I think there is a way, there is a pattern here, there is a model that the administrator, Rajahu Lenny, he knows better. You know, he's a trained person, right? He was one of the guys that accused Taylor that they were Muslim because people were speaking out. Now he's flipping the coins around now and say it, what his name? Henry Costa. And just how Pa George said, Sheku Suri of Freedom FM openly insulted a certain vice president. And nobody said anything. He walked free. He walks away free. Nobody said anything. You know, there are tons of radio stations. The president and all of the people at GOL, they have a lot of network in Liberia. Is it this guy voice with this type, Prophet Key, with this type, all of these people that are all around here on the social media? Costa can go without his network and he will still have people. How many people really listen to FM stations as compared to people that sit and want to see things that is happening visually on the Facebook to see what is going on?
I think you guys have answered your own questions. You said, yeah, will the government go after Prophet Key? Will it go after other individuals who are running shows and are very critical of the government? No, the government won't, and the government hasn't done so. That's why what's transpiring right now does not equate to muzzling of the press. What is happening right now is the protection of free speech.
In whose favor?
The president of Liberia has an obligation to protect free speech in the country. The rights, the freedom of speech.
To undermine the free speech of Liberia, what did he do?
Costas has engaged in the speech that have caused insurrection.
Insurrection.
So I don't understand.
Costa engaged in speech on his podcast that invited people to the capital city to block traffic, to destroy government property, to threaten the lives of other citizens, and to impede the free movement of business. Those are serious. Those are things that can elevate to the level of felony and sedition. And so because
those words around, that's your free. Don't just
when people cannot go about their business because of the actions of a certain group of individuals, then the economy of the state is affected. When the economy of the state is affected to the extent that people's lives become difficult to live, so it will be raised to the level of sedition and treason. Mr. Costa has engaged in treason, in actions that could be deemed treasonable.
So is it criminal? Let me ask you, is it criminal in nature on our constitutions based on what I've explained?
Oh yeah, those are treasonable.
So why he wasn't arrested? Why they allow him to leave the country?
When he invited the people to block traffic.
Let him finish, then you're coming.
When he invited the people to block traffic, when he invited the people to burn tires in the middle of the Tottenham Boulevard, when he invited the people to impede the free movement of other citizens, when he caused the disruption of business and undermined the economic vibrancy of our country, he wasn't in Liberia. He did it from outside. And those are the things that he has done, in addition to the fact that he entered the country illegally, that makes those offenses that he has done treasonable, and that he's a dangerous man. He's dangerous for our children. His mouth is foul. His speech is not some speech we want our kids to be hearing. We can't stop our kids from passing by radio and hearing him speak. And so it's the same thing we're doing in the United States right now. So it's Twitter, Facebook. What are they doing to President Trump?
You know, I'm
they're muzzling the press. Is Twitter muzzling the free speech? Is Muslim free speech? You guys see all the problems, but then when it happens around here, then no.
No, Professor. Okay. The scenario you trying to draw here, I totally disagree with you.
Yeah.
You're saying that Costa is not the language he speaks is not what our children to listen to.
No.
But you have Stephen Sherry who openly insulting a lady, a certain vice president, and you did not say a word, and your government had not said a word. So you're telling me that what people should be said insulting a certain environment on a radio talk show, that's what the children are supposed to listen to. But what Mr. Costa said, that's what the children are not supposed to listen to. No, that's what you're seeing.
No, but
You talk about sedition, treason,
Professor,
around here. The government has a responsibility. The government has not filed any charges against Mr. Costa sedition or treason. They have not done that. And once they have not done that, you cannot say this man is a criminal.
I didn't see you as a criminal.
But that's what you're saying. You said those are
because
criminals.
he-
And the government has not done that.
These are offenses that rise to the level of treason.
Okay, you speaking as an individual. So if you speak as an individual, that's your feeling. If the government has a case, sedition, insurrection, treason, let the file in court. Once the charge has not been filed, we can assume that Costa has committed a crime.
So are you saying that?
Uh,
But listen to me.
Professor Zalo,
Yeah,
Professor Zalo,
yeah.
did the crime Costa that you assume Costa committed, were those crimes done before he entered the country last time?
So some of those things, the ones I'm talking about, happened after.
After Costa left,
He left the country, yeah.
after he left the country,
Yeah.
since Costa left the country and escaped, the death threat, he has not rallied one.
Oh, you're not making you're not being factual. Check your facts. No, he did.
Check the fact.
It doesn't have to be
He
on the
has
radio
not
station.
what?
Yeah, he done
How was
several. He done several.
Rally.
He done several.
Mr. Your audio not
Go
serving.
back and check.
Can you change? You want to change
Yeah.
rating?
Go back.
I remember on occasion, Costa did call on the people to go to the hospital to
That was-
investigate.
That's right.
Now listen, I remember
right.
just not the issue when
Yeah.
Costa called when the government was going there because the government was going to take
Yeah,
just
yeah.
still, and they said no, so they sent people there. But my point here,
Yeah. Yeah.
the police arrested people. The police would have charged those people and charged Costa and prosecute those people who went into the street to cause trouble.
Yeah.
But the government did not do anything. And if the government did not act, why you want to say that the people did it?
Yeah, but
My
here's
point
the
is, it should be illegal. If the government figure that people did obstruct the movement of people, create economic harbor, people's life are threatened.
Yeah.
The government has the responsibility. Those individuals that were apprehended to charge them, and whoever incited them to charge the person that were inciting them. But if the government failed to do so, and the person want to do something, and even what they see in a release, they're not even talking about sedition or treason against Costa.
What did
They
he
say
say?
he entered the country. They say he left the country illegally.
Yeah.
So that's two different things there.
No, you're
Charging
making
someone for
You're making a
treason,
mistake.
charging someone as you're alleging,
Yeah.
what you see there is your personal feeling. The
Yeah.
government Liberia has not even on books charged Mr. Costa for alleged treason, sedition, and insurrection. Is what you're saying.
Yeah.
What the government is saying that he left the country illegally. And I'm saying, you know what to find Mr. Costa. So for you to come here to make this kind of statement, it's your personal feeling. It's not from the standpoint of the government.
But let me correct you. Let me correct you how things like these work. You know, sometimes, for example, in order to get the magistrate, in order to get a judge to allow the prosecutor to remand to prison an accused.
Hello. Hello.
You take
Hello.
any charges against
Hello.
them, like official.
Professor Messi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
much better. So
Is it
just
better?
you know that.
Yeah, it's much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
So people, they might
Okay.
put up 15, 20 charges against an accused so that a judge can be able to, remand the person into detention pending trial. In some cases, you want to bring one charge, a strong charge against an individual, because you know that that charge will allow you to apprehend and detain that individual. And you want to keep the other charges once that person is brought in to add the other charges. And I'm telling you, Mr. Costa's actions rise to the level of sedition, treason. He's an insurrectionist. He's a threat. He's a serious menace to our society. He's not a role model for our children. And our government will protect the lives of our children, will protect the interests of our children.
So
we will not allow such a voice to be on radio because of the danger it poses for our posterity. We can't allow it. We just can't.
And Professor, I'm saying you are just
so
wrong.
when all of these things here,
yeah.
let me, before I bring in Amos here, it's good we are having a sort of conversation here. I didn't hear all what you are saying now. I did not hear that from the Solicitor General, Serena Cephas. What I heard, okay, he said, in fact, he was going to be charged. So let me ask you this. Probably you are familiar with the charges being filed against Costa that I'm not aware of here. What is the charges that the GOL, the government of Liberia, has brought against Costa? Is there any special charge that you're aware of and we don't know?
No, well, I mean, that you don't know? Well, if I know it, I would not come here and reveal the government of Liberia strategy. But what I know is that the actions of
after that thing, do you remember he was also called in by the security apparatus to talk to him or somebody
he entered the country.
So yeah, I mean, after all of those posting and stuff like that, security calling to explain, to provide explanation. So on what basis the seditions, the menace, and all of this we are talking about, do you think they were that dangerous? Come in 1 second. Do you think they were that equivalent to be so dangerous or threat to the security of the country, and the same very security allow him to walk away instead of saying, hey, he has to go through the system, and at the end of the day, only for us to know the very security facilitated his departure from the country?
Yeah, but here's the thing. There's no constancy of motion in life. There's no constancy. What was present at that time, the information available at that time and the information available at this time are different. Things have changed. And so new information have become available. New actions have been taken. So the security forces, I can assure you, if they were to have Costa in the presence right now, you will be reminded to post-stock it.
So let me ask you, so let me ask you, before missing here, is the government of Liberia, as far as you are concerned, is the government of Liberia feels that Costa is dangerous to the state?
The government of Liberia considering it extremely dangerous.
As you know what the government has brought that to the U.S. government because he's residing here?
President, listen to me. First of all, I have a problem with our government up to this point. Why our government has not instructed our minister, our ambassador, to write on our website that Washington D.C. is a very dangerous place to be right now. Who cares about what the U.S. does?
No, I'm asking this.
We don't want to inundate the government of the United States with additional problems. They got their own problem. They got to deal with the president and insurrection.
No, that's not what I'm going. My point here, my argument here, U.S. as a sovereign nation, Liberia as a sovereign nation. If I went in there as an American citizen and stays in Liberia and began to do things that are tantamount or dangerous to the security of the U.S. government, this government having a bilateral relationship with the government of Liberia, they will communicate through the diplomatic channel and say, hey, this is so person here, he's doing X, Y, Z, and he's residing in your country. And definitely an action, it gotta go through what a proceeding can be. Why can't they do it?
I will not speak for the government of Liberia, but here's what I would say. I don't understand how the Liberian government want to speak to the U.S. government on such a thing right now when the U.S. government hands are full. Hands are full. Yeah, they have their own issues.
Something is just yesterday.
Donald Trump. Why would we want to be biased now? I mean, let's be serious, man. I mean,
Professor, let me
say Professor Daulo.
The poor are undermining their own democratic values. Then we should call them as an example.
Okay, let's stabilize.
We have no example to offer us.
Let's stabilize the conversation a little bit. Missing, what you say?
Yeah.
You know, it's buffering when I hear Professor Daulo today saying that when Costa left Liberia January of 2020, since he left, he has caused a lot of fire going on in Liberia since he left.
Your audience is all here tonight. I don't know why you changed assistant. You should have told me.
Go back to the simple one.
It's not white.
Operation, but then
Yeah, it's just not. I'm even saying the reaction here because we are barely hear you. Are just it's like kind of buffering in. I don't know. Go with your old factions system that we were using before. Let me just get you off this.
Amos George is trying to.
that's what I'm using.
Say, Professor, say what?
I think Amos George is trying to muscle the man.
No, I ain't muscle him. I want to come to help. But here's the thing, Mr. So. Because I know he's not a U.S. citizen because he went and let's pass it to Liberia, so I assume he's not a U.S. citizen. So if he here and doing anything to undermine the peace and tranquility in Liberia, and the government cannot come after him, but all professors say the U.S. has so much burden, and that's why I want to tell you, Professor, Henry Costa came before the Donald Trump our election started here. And secondly, there are remedy to the issues here. You saw at the Honor some people being arrested. Trump is being impeached. So that's why I was say when this thing comes, I don't want to make comparison to that of the United States. But that is the poor excuse you gave that America got too much on hand. Now you people don't want to burden her. All around the world, America is still operating 24 hours. So to make that as a poor excuse. The issue here is the government is afraid of Costa, bottom line. They're afraid of Costa.
Yeah.
So what they're trying to do is to muscle Henry Costa and other media houses in Liberia to send a message that if you do that, this is what will come after you. We'll claim that on you. This is what the government is trying to do. But I can tell Professor Zaglo, if Henry Costa go to Liberia, I want to see your government leading a charge of sedition and treason and insurrection. Let me see the one who press those charges against Henry Costa. These people dream to put fear in the Liberian people because they are not finding, the government is finding it difficult, cannot control her own message. So this is what they're doing to intimidate people.
Hello.
Will come up with the people.
Hello.
So
And someone will not be intimidated. I can say that I will be going to Liberia anytime. I would never be afraid of the government of Liberia to say anything that is true.
Yeah,
I will speak my mind. And Henry Costa has the right, as far as I'm concerned. If the government figure that Henry Costa committed a crime, let it go to court. You can't start going to intimidate other radio stations. And for this, let me say this: Henry Costa radio station, when they took the equipment, a court ruled in Liberia that they should hand over Henry Costa equipment to him. But the government has refused to do that. Those are things you bring to muscle the president.
So, you know, you had the other version here. I don't know how you can make a demarcation here for me. Right now, there's a post-election violence ongoing in Uganda, right? Bobby Wine and Museveni, one of the longest I-7 president. Our own Lenant, which is almost like an Associated Press of Washington Post and all of that. There are other people saying the actions of Yoweri Museveni and that of Bobby Wine, there's abuse of power, is a threat to security. Lena is reporting all of that. Is that they're infringing on the rights of Ugandans? Are they helping to insinuate what is going on in Liberia with this sanction? That I don't think so. That's the work of all major cable to wire. So why would this? Yeah, why? Like you said here, I like your passions and the manner in which you can. I think George Weah, President Weah, or the CDC government, they need to look outside of the backstand and people that will be able to fine-tune the message of the government. Unfortunately, you have a Deputy Minister of Information for Public Affairs who is a deputy spokesperson of the government of Liberia, who's supposed to help to straighten government message in a seasoned context for clarity for our friends in the diplomatic enclave of Liberia. He's not doing that. Fact versus fiction. 90% of his arguments on opposition instead of articulating government's agenda. He's not doing that. So now the whole national government is this guy, one person, has not has successfully penetrated the system again, and everybody going nuts in the place there. Costa. I mean, I want to talk about education. I want to talk about the county sport meet that is bringing some sort of sanity and reunion, reconciliation. I want to talk about some of the good things here, but they always kick the can down the road. They allow some of the good things that they are doing. They don't give us chance to talk about it. Instead, they listen to things out there. Find somebody, find people. They are competent people with all the millions network they have to their advantage. When Costa is going on 12 o'clock, find people and put them on the same time, prime time slot, and see and split the audience. Why can't they do that?
Yeah, but yes, I
I
don't know when you say why they're not doing that. Look, this government is not being distracted by the Costa event. I think there are a lot of noise surrounding the Costa event that is not coming to this government. This government has been very, 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 very clear that Mr. Costa presents a serious threat to the peace, safety, and security of our people. This government will exercise its responsibility to protecting law and order, to ensure that no one individual action can threaten the entire country. So
anything that is threat in nature poses danger to the state. Is that the interpretations of the government of Liberia? Is that why you promote it?
The host of interpretation of what Costa is doing. But then I'll tell you one, let me add another thing to this. Look, I indicated to you clearly before. This government's concern right now is not about Costa. It's about ensuring that our schools in our country are built, healthcare centers are built, and they are well run and well financed and well equipped. Our government is involved with negotiation of businessmen in France. Several businessmen and business organizations have expressed interest in coming to Liberia to do business. Those are some of the things this government is concerned
about. The government, Professor, I had to interrupt you. You are so special on this network here. The government is the same very government and is scaring the investors away because when you having these kind of little petty things here, where the government would undo her own agenda to begin to focus on the talk show host because of his loud voice or because of his critical voice against the government, then you are the same very people are scaring the investors away. This time,
we're not doing so. It's not loud. Protecting the investor. We are protecting the investor from blackmail, fraudsters, and individuals who have no commitment to the rule of law. So what we are telling the investors is, come to our country. We will protect you against fraudsters, people who blackmail other individuals, and to get money. We're talking about people who engage in yellow journalism. You know the man Costa. You know the man Costa. He's not a.
Why were you say about Sean Hannity? Why were you say about Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, and all of these folks here?
I listen to you more than I listen to those kind of fools. I don't listen to them. Look, I don't have. First of all, here's the thing. I'll tell you the truth. Let me give you one shocking thing here. I don't have too much respect for American journalists. Let's get that
one. Today, the professor is very subtle in his statements. And we gotta watch. Today, we gotta watch the professor with eagle eyes. Professor, so you like I started saying, Costa went into Liberia in December of 2019. Since he left 2020, he has not been back.
Yeah.
And he has had no protests in Liberia.
Ask Mr.
2020.
Let me help you with that.
2020.
So why did you expand on
2019?
Okay.
Justina was 2019 before Costa went to Liberia. It was before at the ERWA hospital was before Costa went to Liberia. So are you referring to that? Then they should have arrested him for insurrection. Okay. Did they not?
Let me tell you something. To everything, there is a season. It's a time to arrest and a time to not arrest. Now, if Costa lands in Liberia, he will be arrested and remanded to Post-Taki pending trial. That is guaranteed.
For what? What would be a charge?
Professor, I catalog several things that could possibly be charged with. Among them, the highest ones would be sedition and treason.
How can you charge him for sedition and treason?
His actions are treasonable, they are seditious, and the government will charge him and they will find him guilty. We have the people to be able to find people. So do one thing, encouraging the return.
You have
I would definitely, and I'm speaking on the platform tonight.
Encouraging the return.
I'm encouraging Mr. Costa to go to ballot. And Professor, I will tell you this.
Yeah.
If Costa go back to Liberia, if the weird-led government charging for sedition and treason, you will see the uprising in Monrovia, in Liberia. I can guarantee that.
I understand. That's why you have.
Let me say the professor, because when you speak here, it's not the tone of the government.
Yeah.
It's not the tone. I'm saying this is your personal feeling you're speaking about. But if the government knows, if the government is capable, let Costa go to Liberia, let it charge Costa for sedition and treason or insurrection. Then I will see really Liberian government got a backbone.
Professor Daulo, there's a lot of things when you talk about insurrection and sedition.
Let me put a number here. A few calls before we pivot to the next talking point here. This is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. And let me, folks. Let me take, Milton, go ahead, and I will take a quick commercial commitment.
When you talk about sedition and those kind of things, you got to be able to show real hard evidence.
Yeah.
Okay. There was no time when you look at all the riot, the people pick up against people and started without being provoked. They were provoked. They were provoked. The post went there, they said, look, Justina Taylor not leaving. That's all they did. They waited for who wanted to move Justina Taylor. Nobody wanted to move her. They didn't. They back down. They let it go. But we got to be careful and let our government be able to do the right thing. And you can, this is the first beginning of trying to muscle the press. This is a press. All you do, you give guidelines. If you give guidelines, then the press, whoever is coming, say, hey, this is our rule. This is the guideline that you got to follow. And when that guideline is adhered to, then it's all right. But you can't say that the man, you can't, right now, there is no pending charge. The man is not, he's not running from the law. The man is running for his life because of fear of being mishandled. Okay, that's why he ran. He said, look, he went there. They sat him, they talked with him. Then they said, my man, somebody came from the same group and said, hey, you come by here tomorrow, you benefit. So the man said, well, it's time to run. I'm not listening, I'm moving. And the man was right. So now let's go back to the next thing. How do we move forward? You don't want him to speak in Liberia. You can't stop him from doing that. And if you want to do that, the person will do it. Don't muscle the press. Let the press be free. Let anybody want to say anything. I always say, with freedom comes responsibility. Say what you want to say, but you are held responsible for what you say.
You know, let me tell you something. You know, I listen to you. You know, being a father of a son who engaged the enemies on behalf of the United States and freedom-loving people all over the world in Afghanistan. One thing my son would tell you is that I raised him to be a brave man, brave boy, to be prepared to stand up before anyone and defend himself. You talk about Costa fearing for his life. You see, maybe there's a story about some of us and our children that we raise, and the reason why my son will be brave enough to take out arms and go on the front line and not run away from there is because we exhibited the same quality. When you believe in something, you should be brave enough to stand for it. We are witnesses to that. I was interviewed by NSA for 5 hours. 5 hours. 5 hours in 1988. I had every opportunity. Everybody was telling me to leave the country. I refused. Went there. I did my interview. And here I am today. Costa is a coward. That's the bottom line. He doesn't stand. He's a coward.
No, Professor, he's not a coward.
He's a coward.
Maybe a coward.
He's not a coward.
Professor, I come in 1 second. Professor, I differ with you. The government was very forceful about his returning, and he did not the government that he want to return. He returned, and he I'm talking about the first phase, which he did.
Yeah.
And traffic were interrupted. The government was unable to file charges. The government put down the, I will say it literally, the government put down the red carpet as well to welcome Costa.
Yeah.
Look, there's one here, to be honest.
Mr. So, let me explain this to you. It was because of people like you, good, well-meaning people, who told the government of Liberia, say, you know what? Allow him free pass.
So they didn't speak to the government of Liberia, not to touch Costa. You're going to Liberia.
In public. You were all, Mr. George, all of you. All of you.
Okay, let me go to the line here. Let me go to
Costa to go to Liberia.
Let me go to
you wanted him to go there and be allowed to move free. So the government listened to you.
No, the government never had no charges.
I'm calling from North Dakota. My name is James Jackson.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been listening to you guys, and I've been listening to everything. But I want us as Liberians to see reason to say the truth. That when someone going about doing the wrong thing, especially against a government, let us all work together and put the truth where it belongs. In as much as when the government do wrong, we should stand up for the truth and tell the government they do wrong. What Costa has been doing, that is not a job of a journalist.
Costa is not a journalist.
Blackmailing.
Costa is not a journalist.
then of course, then people shouldn't be pleading law for him that the government attacking the media.
Free speech.
Because what Costa has been doing is just a job of a blackmailing. When he paid, he don't blackmail you. When he's not paid, he blackmailed you.
So then who is allegedly paying him? Let's have a little conversation here a little bit. Who is allegedly paying him, as you are saying?
Okay. There was an issue came out before concerning the death of, so you know what happened in early regime. The Costa were paid not to publish it. We all saw the video. We listened to the conversation. He did not publish it because he was paid about that. We all know the story.
So probably he was doing public relations.
We can go on and name
it. They were doing, probably he was doing a public relations. There is a legal aspect to do a public relations, to do a propaganda for institutions, and you are, in that case, if I decide to be a public relations officer here for the government or the opposition, right, I can charge them. And my job here, I don't care what the people say, but wherever it's true, it is my responsibility to tweet and refine and redefine the message and say, hey, don't mind these people. These are what the people are saying, because why I am paid to do that job.
Sir, I reason with you, sir. But take, for example.
So who are paying him?
Think about, sir, I want you to get this. Get this fact.
Right.
Let's look at Costa recent action.
So which
in
one?
The country and in this government.
Which recent action are you referring to?
The action on everything he's been doing.
No, don't
imagine.
Hold on. Hello.
Yeah.
Mr. Why your name, Mr.
Yes,
White?
sir,
Mr. Davis, right?
Yeah, Mr. Jackson. Yes, sir.
Okay. On this network here, believe me or not, you come here to no one, everybody is given the opportunity. But whatever I say on this network to you, you can be held accountable, including myself. Costa is paid. Costa is doing everything. Let's take it step by step. What specifically are you making reference to, so our audience will know?
Sir, we are discussing on the government's action. And I'm seeing reason to agree with the government action. And I'm telling you, why do I agree?
Okay.
I agree on serious thing that Costa has been doing in the country. I am not against Costa personally, but I am against some actions, some behaviors or attitudes of Costa.
Yeah, so catalog them, outline them, so that you also get sympathy with our own landlord. You say doing several things. So it's It's just in
Right.
vague now. Tell us exactly. Costa doing several things.
Okay.
Number one, he did this, he did
Okay.
that, he did that, and
Okay.
then
Okay. I'll name them for you. I begin with Justin Taylor issue.
okay. What
I
did
follow Costa show every day.
Uh-huh.
I begin with Justin Taylor issue.
Mhm.
I begin with the issue of Costa going on air, clearly stating that he hit the president, that he wished, if he had the power, he wished the president could just die. I
That's
listened to
freedom of
that.
speech. That's
I have
free
the
speech.
tape on that.
Mhm.
He
That's
said
free
it
speech.
publicly. He hit him. If
That's
he,
for free
if he
speech.
had the power, he wished he would just die and all that stuff. Now
You
listen,
think they kill him?
this
That's free
man,
speech.
hold
All
on.
free speech.
If what Costa has been doing, as well as Justin Taylor issue and all the protests and all those things, imagine where we're coming from, Liberia, where we're coming from. We all here in America, we try our best to help our country.
When you say, yeah, let's get this, let's land this boat here, so I'll have my guys to contribute here. Costa, I say a lot of things. He hit the president. Justin Taylor issue. What specifically are you referring to? And was that a crime committed in that direction?
Yeah, there were a lot of crime committed.
From you, or is that what the government was? What the government projected?
In my personal view, I see that Costa committed a crime by blocking traffic.
So that's you. Oh, you're expressing. You were expressing your opinion, right?
Mr. Jackson asked the people whether
Yes.
That's not a view. That's not a view of the government.
What? Don't tell Mr. Jackson to ask me. He called.
Oh, okay. Now you get me to the understanding here. And of course, I can't question your opinions. I can't question your view. I too expressing it. Now, if you had told me that was the opinion or view of the government, then I will ask you, why did the government did not right? You see, Professor Zablo is laughing because that's something that's stuck with him. Something that's like, okay, so all right, my dear brother Ty, is there anything that you want to leave with us?
Yeah, the only thing I want to say is that, as I said, I'm going to say this based on Costa certain action and certain things he do. I'm not against, but against some things he do. So I'm saying this, that we all, as Liberians, I believe that this system, we should get together that if someone does something wrong, it should be able to tell the person in the face, in as much as the president, if he does wrong, myself, I get on air and tell him that what he do is wrong. You know, I tell him the truth. Whoever does anything wrong, we tell them. But
Okay.
Costa have done some things that is not right to us as Liberian, is not right to our nation. It's not right to the government. And
So,
let me just say
second.
Let me just say this for 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Let me say this.
Yeah.
Today, yesterday, he did it to Ellen. Today is open. Tomorrow, Costa want to be part of the new government. If the government comes and Costa is part of that government, and another person rise up against that government in the shoes of Costa, behaving like that. Now tell me, where you and I will be going, where Liberia do you expect for the country to develop in that condition?
So then let me flip the coins around here. Thank you. I like your talking point here. So do you think Costa did it to Helen Johnson Sirleaf yesterday? Today now is George Weah. Do you think those things that Helen Costa did alleging you are talking about, do you see that as what? Maybe crime, or he broke the law?
Yes, some of them, I believe some of them he broke the law.
So then who is Costa? Costa is not above Liberia. If Costa broke the law, then I need to hold my government accountable for allowing other citizens to infringe on the laws of the land and allow them to walk free. Then don't you think you need to hold your government responsible for not enforcing the laws?
Because you know something, Liberian, we are very weak in some things. Even the government very weak in some things. We have not seen a government or a leader that be very drastic. And number two, I reason with them for being weak in some things, because if the government want to be very drastic, we just seen Liberian will go against that government and say the government doing this, doing that. That's just the problem for Liberia. And if we continue this attitude, I don't see us going nowhere in development.
So let me talk to you now before I let you go. the issue of Costa say he hit the president. If I told you right now, Jackson, I hate you, that's just my view. That's my opinion I'm expressing about you. It doesn't mean it's not going to do you anything. Do you think everybody going to like the president, or do you think everybody likes you as a human being? Absolutely not. But the government does have a responsibility to keep focus. I am not in support of most of the things, his language. I think he's a gifted young man, but you know, that's the way he's doing his, that's why he chooses to do. But I don't think government, I think government have much more responsibility, things to focus on than to always get us into this stuff here. Why you think the government is doing wrong too? Is the government doing anything wrong?
Oh, sure. I see a lot of things the government do wrong.
Such as?
And a lot of things do wrong. A lot of things wrong.
Don't put everything in the basket.
Especially the way I see people dying in the country, the way I see some people's rights have been abused. I see all that. I go to social media, I listen to news, I see stuff happening in Liberia every time.
Is that from Costa talking? Is that from Costa talking, or Costa speaking against some of those things?
No, not from Costa talking. The government have their own weaknesses, and the president have his own weakness. The president, there's something that I personally don't like about him. He's not vocal. He don't speak out. Things happening in the country. It may not be his fault, but he don't speak out to it.
Are those things
he don't
Costa
talk.
Talks,
he just quiet.
So is Costa speak about those things sometimes? The thing that the president don't talk about?
Yeah.
So you like it when you like it when he talks about those things the president don't talk about? Do you like that?
Oh, of course, yes. If Costa say the right thing, of course, yes. Yes, I like it. I like for him to speak the truth. I like for him to put the truth where it belongs. I love him for that. I must applaud him when he do that. I appreciate him for that. But where there will be chaos and all that stuff like that, that where I don't like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, my man. Oh, my man, Jackson, you are the best man. Please, there shouldn't be a last time here. Always come here for us to have a dialogue. We are not against people's views, their people's opinion. We allow people. We just want to have a conversation, civil conversation that will understand and be able to have a conversation among ourselves. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Mr. Su.
Let me welcome a special friend here, ST, Mr. Wallace Punt, chilling with us here from Liberia here this morning. I will thank you for joining us. Gentlemen, I'm going to come back to get your reaction. So let's take a quick commercial break and I will be right back.
The Reeves family announces with deep regrets the death and homegoing of their father, uncle, grandfather, great-grandfather and family man, Mr. William Reeves, respectfully known as Teacher Reeves, Uncle Reeves and Pop Reeves. This sad event occurred on Friday, January 8, 2021 at Nazareth Hospital in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. He was born June 18, 1931 in Carblaken, Carluway District, Maryland County, Liberia. A graduate of Our Lady of Fatima High School and Maryland College of Our Lady of Fatima in Maryland, Liberia, with a bachelor's degree in education and an advanced certification in teaching at the International Teachers Development Program, U.S. Department of Education, Washington, D.C., USA. He was a renowned educator with 38 years' experience as teacher/principal of Our Lady of Fatima Catholic High School in Maryland County, Bishop Jerry's Catholic High School and Tubman Wilson High School in Zwedru, Grand Gede County, Webo High School, River G County, Department of Education Annual Teacher Vacation School, Webo, all of Liberia, West Africa. He once served as an ad hoc regional Peace Corps director, Southeastern Liberia. Author of 3 books, The Native Boy of Nae, The National Living Story of Liberia, and Heroes of Gitabo, co-author. He was a great orator and historian that had phenomenal relationship with multitude of former students. He leaves to mourn his death his only sister Jalamuni, his children, Krista Reeves, Amos Tita Reeves, Corpu, Robert Carpe Reeves, Ophelia, Felicia Reeves Sadie, Elvis B. Reeves, Frank Anawa Famida, and Amos Openuda, Benita. Grandchildren, Daniel Boakai, Akali, Alicia Tarlu, Christopher Reeves, William Reeves II, Eric Reeves, Franklin Nawa, Caroline Nawa, Lucia Kapiaka, Michael Sadie, Lara Enos AD, Jim Reeves, Aliana Sophie Reeves, Rob Felia Honey Reeves, Jamil Nuda, and Jamila Nuda. Great-grandchildren, Daniel Jr., Gianni and Franklin Jr., a host of relatives and many former students who have fondly become part of his life. Funeral service, Saturday, January 30th, 2021. Viewing is from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Funeral service starts 10 a.m. Maternity BBM Catholic Church, 9220 Old Bustleton Avenue, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 19115. Interment, Rosedale Memorial Park, 3850 Richelieu Road, Bensalem, Pennsylvania 19020. Contact, Krista Reeves 1267-507-8492. Robert K. Reeves, +231-8865-79961, +231-7750-68696. In lieu of donation to funeral expenses, the family is accepting donations to Mr. William K. Reeves Burbadjaw School Project Foundation, a premier school project he established to benefit children in his village, Carblaken, and neighboring villages of Carlew District, Maryland County, Liberia. You can send donations via Cash App to $Krista Reeves, Zelle Krista Reeves +267-507-7492.
All right, that was obituary announcement that brought into Liberia Public Radio. Mr. William Cameron Reeves passed in Philadelphia or New Jersey borough. That's Liberia Public Radio. We're going to be bringing you live coverage of his final homegoing. This announcement was brought in by the daughter of the deceased, Felicia. I said it right there in New Jersey. In fact, we're going to be having here at this moment. He's a mentor, I think, from Grand Judea, Bishop Juliet, Grand Crew, and other places. I think 3 different counties. A very impressive profile. So we'll try to have a special in his remembering. Okay, so Professor, let's talk about a little education here. But before we go and talk about a little education here, how you enjoy your last man here?
Which one?
The last guy. The last guy I talked to.
That was one point. The guy said we should criticize, both ends. When the government does wrong, we should criticize. That's what we do most of the time. I'm very critical of this government. And I always criticize this government, and I also criticize the opposition. Unfortunately, people don't see it. They want you to criticize the government only. But then it plays into their narratives. They don't want you to see any good in this government. And that's where we disagree with a lot of people. I'm very critical of this government. Very, very critical. I'm one of the people who, always question the actions of government. Yeah. I criticize the government even more than Pap George and the government.
I mean,
Okay.
for being an insider, I agree.
A good teacher. That's why I'm making a good teacher. He did psychology, so he know how to do all these things,
For being an insider, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. I like to. Nobody will want to antagonize their government, to be honest, because the bottom line here is, as we're on air here, my late nephew, nieces are sending me messages. That'll be they should get their uniform by the 1st of February, and blah blah blah. But when things are happening good in the country, I will have less tension here. You will have less tension here. And we want good things. All we want our government to do is to do the right thing and forget about these less basic things to keep them distracted. Let them keep their eyes on the board. So let them deliver. Let them find those issues that are so concerning to ordinary Liberians, for which they were elected to do those jobs. Those are things that we want. Okay. Education. This is one of the things, Professor, before we wrap up in the next 30 minutes here. This is where your passion is. That's your lifeline. That's your lifeline. You have schools in Liberia helping a young generation to mold their minds, to prepare them for the future. Is your government, the government that you support, are they investing in education? There's a huge cut in the budget, in the educational budget. Are they doing what they're supposed to do? Are they aware that tomorrow's future depends on the the preparedness of today's generation to be in the education or human capacity buildings? Is the government making huge investment in that? Instead of talking Henry Costa shouldn't go to D12, do D15, Epsom, and all of those kind of things. He went to Tottenham High School, my own alma mater, and all of those places. I want him to go. I would love to see my president going there. The aftermath of his visit, that's the one thing. I prefer to see him visiting schools, looking at infrastructure development and going into studio, because it's not going to do me anything. It's not going to do the society anything. Is the government making huge investment in the country? Explain.
First of all, the government did not cut the educational budget of the country. What happened is that there had to be the government had to harmonize salaries. In the process of harmonizing salaries, the government was able to trim hundreds of individuals from the payroll of the Ministry of Education. Look, I have some friends. They teach for Booker Washington Institute. They are full-time instructors at Booker Washington Institute. We're also full-time instructors at Lango Lpr High School. They are on the clock at Lango Lpr High School from 8 to 3:30. They are on the clock at BWI from 8 to 3:30. They were getting 2 salaries. So all those people in those situations were plucked from the Ministry of Education payroll. And that meant that a certain amount could have been saved. You see, there are certain competing priorities that the government has to address. And so that money was moved to some other areas. There are those of us who have advocated to government that money must be brought back into the educational sector, because it is believed that it's a 6,000 teachers shortage. I don't accept that to be true, because I know that there's not a 6,000 teacher shortage. One of the problems we have had one incompetent after another incompetent Minister of Education. They have not been able to go in and see what's happening. You may know that, but I think for the last 3 or so Minister of Education we have in Liberia, not a single one of them had a classroom.
Including the current minister now, is he incompetent?
The last 3 Ministers of Education we have appointed in Liberia have had no classroom experience, excluding this one. The present minister have had a post-secondary experience. He has no experience, or I don't know what any experience he had teaching at the K-12 level. And so because of that, it presents a lot of challenge for them to be able to manage the K-12 educational sector of our country. But this president is committed to supporting the educational sector. First of all, the government of Liberia, as I told you the other day, negotiated and won a $47 million grant. It's called Improving Results in Secondary Education. That is supposed to address issues of technology education all across Liberia and provide support for girls' education to keep girls in school. Girls are supposed to be receiving even cell phones and some financial assistance to keep them in school, and providing counselors and social workers to help keep girls in school. No government has done in the history of Liberia. So it definitely shows that this president is more interested in education than any other president prior to him. Also, the president visited the Morel Consolidated Schools system just last week. You saw that he was very appalled by the situation, the conditions he saw that the students were learning in. He gave those people about 72 hours to rectify the situation. That's one place where I would disagree with the president. The problem of our education system cannot be resolved in 72 hours. Cannot. So I disagree with the president in that direction, that those problems cannot be fixed in 72 hours. If people had 3 years to solve those problems, or at least address some of them, and if they couldn't address it, maybe it's about time we see how we can put them.
So, let me ask you here. I'm quite sure you get the ears of some of the insider. I'm just making that educated guess here. Before the president goes out on this sort of visit, does he talk to his people with the expertise? Okay, if I'm leaving as an overall commander-in-chief, going to visit schools, I must have an agenda, at least a little bit sketch of what I'm going to do and what I'm going to say. Because I listen to some of the things with the school telling the teacher to do what, or to save, how to learn to save money and all of those. But come on, people in desperation and all of that, people not even getting there on time, how can they save it? I'm wondering here, is the president, you can have the sort of a quick review. I want to see educational institution. This is what I'm going to be saying. I'm going to William V.S. Todmeha. I'm going to the D2. I'm going to this. This is what I have on my agenda. This is what I'm going to address. Any other thing, we're going to communicate that. Do you think that happens? Do you think they take that kind of routine before he goes out?
Yeah, the president does. But what transpired was an impromptu question and an impromptu remark. I will say that I wish the president would take his remark back. The president is a man, just like any one of us. He makes mistakes at times. I don't think he meant evil. I don't think he meant to disrespect or to kind of like make light of the challenges that teachers are facing in the country. But he was just trying to encourage teachers, that particular teacher, to say, you know what, I understand what you are saying, but try to do some saving. But I will definitely say I wish the president would take his remark back, and and maybe in the future.
Was that a slip of tongue?
Yeah, I think it was a slip of tongue. I don't think that's what he meant. I don't think that's what he actually meant to say. It was unfortunate that he said that. I don't support that.
I'm quite sure if George get a different version of that. I don't think George want to agree that was a slip of tongue, right?
No, that to show the insensibility of the president to the people of Liberia, those teachers. He knows that teachers had not taken pay for months.
No,
so if someone told you that the money being cut, is that a response? Then it tend to be that you are insensitive. Now, if that was slip of tongue, why the press office of the president could not release a statement after that? Say this is what the president meant to say. That's how you say then people should go that, oh, that was a slip of tongue. But after that, nobody had come from the office of the president to even say that, oh no, this is what the president meant. No. So when you do that, it becomes intentional.
Let me correct you. First of all. Teachers in Liberia, it's not fair to say the teachers in Liberia are not taking pay for several months. That's not true. The government has been very current on salary for teachers up until I think somewhere October. That's when they went back, I think, by 1 month or so. So it's a little slow. But this government has made a commitment since January of 2000 to make sure that teachers were paid on salary. So they went from January all the way to, I think, October ending. Teachers were either being paid either at the end of the month or 1 month, 1 week into the next month. You can check on that.
Okay, I agree with you, but then I come back to it. So it wasn't right. Now you see, you not said it that way, but he said it that way. And my point here is, if at all he said something that he didn't meant to say that, the office of the president should have come back to issue a press release. But nothing had been said after days. So then I will come to the point to say, look, he's been insensitive to the plight of the people. Because even if you pay them, well, okay, that's my opinion. Even if you pay them and someone made such a statement like, hey, this been cut from my salary. As a leader, there's a way you will handle it. And if you say something that which you felt that, hey, I don't think I would have said it. You don't have to come back to apologize, but your office can issue a release that this is what the president meant to say. Simple.
I agree with 100%.
The issue with the school. Let me say this. I don't want to put everything on President Weah, but you have to know the symptom of the problem before you can solve it. So giving them the 2 hours, do he know the problem that the schools are going through? To give them the 2 hours that this must be solved.
They always give George schools to really get they always empower him. I don't know why.
These are issues because
I think you were talking about it. He was actually mostly referring to the problems of structure. It was not referring to the administrative and managerial aspects of education in Liberia. It's just talking about the structural problems the buildings had, like leaking ceiling, leaking roofs, broken window, broken chairs. Those are the things you're referring to. You can fix it.
Yeah, but what I want to know, the broken chairs, the broken windows.
Yeah.
I don't know the condition of the library. What I'm saying here, if the government have money in the budget to solve the problem, why it had not been using it? If there was money.
That's
so
why he's angry.
Just the 2 hours, where the money will come from now? So these are issues, Mr. Professor Zavulo. Here's the thing here. The Minister of Education, Sonny, he runs a school, he owns a school. And he knows he's in the classroom, you know the challenges that parents face and school administrators face. And the government trimmed down the budget. But they took that money to give it to President Office, 9.5 million for presidential office. They increase the budget of the presidential office, increase the budget of this other area. And now you're seeing that you want to invest in education.
Presidential budget on the roof.
Yes. Now, if you cut down the budget, taking teachers off the payroll who work in two places, which I suppose I frown at, that is not right. But if you take those money, why can't you put it back into the budget, directly into the education that will go to the students? I mean, that will go to the benefit of the people, the children.
That's what I said to you. For example, I had to get involved with one of them because Alango Lpr, the example I gave was Alango Lpr. The principal reached up to me, and I've been fighting that the teachers that were working for BW and Alango Lpr who were taking all the salary, they should be giving back to the school, so that they should be giving back to the school in terms of hiring new staff. I 100% agree with you on those kind of things. But here's the thing: you see, the president can't do everything. The problem is now when it comes to the
Minister of Education.
I want to address.
Let's Mason come in here a little bit.
Zavulo.
Yeah.
Professor Zavulo. Oh, my dear brother. I agree the president can't do everything. But if the president can supervise, then he need not be president. It's the president's responsibility to make sure his lieutenants work. You see, in the military, the general has the order down. And by the time the order gets to the lieutenant gives it to the sergeant. When they come to it, they first ask the captain what happened. Because the two lieutenants on the captain must account for the action. So if the president, if he can't get his lieutenant to work, that's his problem. But that statement made was very insensitive. Very insensitive. Secondly, the amount of money you're talking about that the teachers make, it's not money that you can force them to save. The man got a family. Oh man, you're making the kind of money, save some. Those are things that when a person hear it hits harder coming from the president. It hits harder. It hits like, look, you don't care for what I'm going through. I'm sacrificing my time to come and teach. You are paying me barely $300, and you're expecting me, which of course the standard of living in this country right now is $10 a day for me. Is more than $10 a day for me and my family. And you pay me barely $10 a day. How do you expect me to save when I got all the cost of living to take care of for me and my family? How do you expect me to save? That was insensitive. Okay?
But you don't.
And I agree with you. Huh?
Those are good campaign. Those are good campaign ads.
No. So you go back. First thing, with all those things you saw, the president should have stood back in that place. I was saying right there and fired the Minister of Education. I even take a step out. I will fight right there because that proves a gross incompetence.
Yeah,
gross incompetence. Okay, he has a school. I bet my head. He pays his teacher well, and he got a school that he's running. Firstly, he should not even have a school to run when he's the Minister of Education. Conflict of interest. Who will be first?
Yeah.
But Professor Zaro got schools in Kakatan. Professor Zaro got schools in Kakatan. And he know if he got to school, he saw that the school building like that. That principal, I know his job is gone. If Professor Zaro went to Kakatan and saw that teacher is not in class, that teacher is gone. If that roof leaking, the principal is gone. He's not going to condone it. But like you said,
but yes, I would not. Let me say this.
Very unfair to the professor.
Please let me say this. In Liberia, before I left Liberia, I taught Monhai. I taught at BW Harris. I taught at MC, and then I became a TA at the University of Liberia. But what I realized is when I was teaching at Tottenham High and MC, I had a strict to do with the administration of MC. I told them, listen, this is my hours I can teach. I can be here. If it's acceptable, I'll be here. If it's not, let me go. I told her, after teaching for many years, I went to vice principal for student affairs. I had 2 classes to teach, 2 senior classes. That was all I was teaching. But I had to make sure things are set up in the morning before I would run to teach and come back. People, this one salary for a teacher and a family is hard, especially when it's not consistent. Like right now, it is consistent to a degree. Okay, and I must applaud this government for taking such a step to have salary current to some level. I must applaud the government, but they need to pick it up and make it current as can be current.
Yeah, but let me say this to you. Look, and everything you're saying here, I agree. Somebody's on here saying that. That's what I want to hear. You guys criticizing the Minister of Education because I want a Minister of Education job. You can't
come on, man. Come on, man.
You know, you can be
Eugene Harris.
yeah,
This is what Professor Zawlo wants to hear because he wants the ministry. Well, look, that way, to be honest, I'm not like a liberal or something who read it. I don't want to work for government. Anybody who doesn't want to work for their country, it's not a matter of you want to work, but what you taking to the table, your honesty, your authenticity, the love for the country. So why Zawlo, Professor Zawlo, is way overcompetent. These are some of the people who want them to be there, but unfortunately, his party is unwilling to they just want to make people.
He is not willing to go. The offering judge said he doesn't want to go. He wants to go, Blaine.
I don't think my party is now. I don't think my party is unwilling to position me to help. I don't think that's the case. That's
my view, Professor.
Everything, there is a season and a time for everything.
Oh my goodness.
So let's leave it like that. But here's the thing I will tell you. Everything you are saying, I agree with you guys. Look, it was unfortunate. I, as a friend of this government, I've made it my personal duty to engage with teachers in Liberia. I'm part of like 2 or 3 teachers messenger group where I listen to the plight of teachers and I communicated to the authorities. So I hear that every day. I get up 3:30 in the morning every day. And the first person I speak to is an educator in Liberia, whether at one of my schools or one of the teacher leaders in Liberia. But every morning when I get up 3:30, the first person I speak to is an educator back in Liberia. And what do? We discuss educational issues. I 100% agree with you. The president's statement, like I said, I wish he would take it back. Now, also, Mr. George made a very good point that the people who are responsible for managing the president public relations should come up some way to, explain and package the president's statement in a way that would have assuaged the concerns of the teachers. Unfortunately, the people there don't have those kind of skills. And, I would not want to discuss like just exactly what I fear. I don't want to discuss about the minister's competence or incompetence or whether he should have been fired or whether he should not have been fired. But here's what I would say. Mr. George is right. If I called my school, like a Sunday, we had a meeting, we have a parent-teacher meeting with my school. And one of the parents indicated that her daughter got into a fight in the classroom with another student. And my first time hearing it was in a PTA meeting. I almost fired my teacher because we have a clear procedure that teacher should have filled up an incident report and submitted to the principal. And that teacher did not do it. We put that teacher, we warned that teacher. We had a meeting with them today and warned the teacher that the next time that occurs, that teacher will be fired. Yeah. If you can't do it before I come and notice the problem, I mean, when you begin to fix the problem after I've noticed it, it's the water on the bridge. That's not how effective system work. And so a person who needs me to come and see it and tell them to fix it, maybe should not be the one leading. And that's what I would say about that. They should not be the one leading. And especially when it comes to our children, I've been very outspoken when it comes to education and things. That's one area I would not compromise. Because I fought the I don't know whether you guys know it, but British International Academy. I fought them. I led a battle against them. The Modern Knee Academy. I fought them. I fought Modern Knee Academy. I can take credit of being one of the people who chased them out of Liberia. Katie Miller, I'm one of those people who chased all of Liberia. I was very vocal, and I fought. I fought at the highest possible level to make sure that she got out of Liberia because she was not educating Liberian children. She was abusing them. And when British National Academy wanted to come to Liberia and teach our children that it was okay to have two mama or two papa, I fought against them. So anything that comes to education, I fight for it. And I don't think that right now what's transpiring is in the best interest of our children. We are shortchanging our children. And it's unfair to them, it's unfair to our future. When we retire, we'll be served by incompetent people if we don't fix that problem today. And that's unfortunate.
Let me say this. I'm not sure whether you're going to be happy with it, but I have to say here because we have had this conversation quite a long time, and you have been contributing here on LPR. And even before long becoming a contributor, you appear on LPR and other major cable network. Your passion for education is unquestionable. Before even the exceptions of the CDC-led government, you go routinely, voluntarily to go train teachers and all of that. Now, what is the deal? Why is your party? This is not funny, Professor. Why is your party, knowing who you are, your investment, your long-time history involvement in the educational, the advancement of education in the country, why can't this party see who are those inviting people to take responsibility to put them places that they really do? Is it that because I don't know, or are you not one of them? There are many of you. I'm just only making reference to you because you are here, and I've talked this long. We have talked this here. Why can't they? Why can't they make some adjustment? For God's sake, why can't they do that?
Adjustment will be made. But I tell you one thing, when it comes to me, it's a totally different situation. I still have one son in college. I have two granddaughters who I'm very much interested in. I do a business here, a tutoring business that allows me to do some of the things I do in Liberia, for example, during the summertime to go there and train teachers free of charge. I'm able to raise that money partly through my tutoring business. It's my tutoring business that I'm able to use to be able to open 2 schools in Liberia, getting ready to open 2 additional schools in Monrovia, bringing the number of schools that open to 4. We've planned to open 9 schools from now to 2025. So if I were to go to Liberia, I would not be able to.
Professor Saulo, going to Liberia here is I mean, please forgive me. I don't know all of the details, but I know you is not today, it's not yesterday in terms of your community service. And this is where some of all it pains all down when the government is not doing the right thing, and when the government is not looking outside of the box to talk to people, or I don't know whether they are looking for high call or people who will. And to be honest, for those of you who don't know, it just is sad, and we respect people to comment. But I just strongly believe your party, they're kind of looking for people who will always say yes, sir, who will not look into the faces of the leader and say, no, Mr. President or Mr. So, this is not a way to go. And I know that you are the kind of person who will look into the eye. Is that a reason why they don't want to look at people? I don't understand, because this gives some of us headache, because why? I want my government, I want my country to succeed. Yeah, I mean, talking here, text messages coming here and saying that I think the other brothers and other folks that were doing something. Would I be getting message? Is 9:55 here? What's the time in Liberia now? Almost 2 o'clock, and child sending this sort of message. So I don't know, why is this government? In fact, first of all, let me kick this can down the road. You guys were massively defeated. Any political party that is willing to make a recovery, the very first thing after such a massive defeat, you will go for a retreat to re-strategize, to see where you went wrong. Have you guys ever gone back on the Sakomo tree to have a whatever meeting? No, I think watch your microphone. Is that me or?
I think that's maybe that.
Watch your microphone, Professor. I think you're muted from your side. Your mic. It's not me. It's not muted from me. I'm trying to unmute it here, but you muted. Put you off and let you come back?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let me put him off and then let me see.
I think I'm off right now.
Yeah, it's all right.
So, okay,
All
maybe
right,
you didn't hear me. Let me just repeat myself. After a massive political defeat, why didn't you guys go for a retreat to see where the party, what went wrong, and what can be fixed, instead of diving into this Henry Costa, count on D12, D15 radio, and all of those kind of things? Have you guys ever had a retreat?
Yeah, there have been discussions being held at different levels, and the party is recalibrating. Corrections have been made, and the party is preparing for 2023.
How do we validate that?
Well, you will see. You will see some of the things that we are doing.
Oh my
The
goodness.
president will be addressing the president will address the party things very soon, and you're going to see some changes. You're going to see a lot of different things coming about. The CDC you saw before this last election will be the CDC of the past. You're going to see the new party. You're going to see the party return to the grassroots, and it will reposition itself for victory. You know, I understand that we have a very difficult, perilous path ahead, but you know, with undaunted courage and some organizational arrangements, our party will face the full value unpretending and will be able to prevail. We'll re-elect President Weah for another 6 years, and we might see how we can change the constitution for him to go for another 6 after that.
Now you're trying to get of Amos Joy.
That's a joke. That's a joke. That's a joke.
He's trying to give a nightmare to Amos Joy.
Not nightmare. Because the child was in the mouth will not sleep. He will not sleep.
There you go.
So,
Let
me say this. Let me say this. Professor Zauro knows exactly why he don't want to take any job in the government right now. Because his stance.
Can you tell us?
Yeah, his stance. His party. People will not be able to work with the kind of reform that he wants to bring.
I want to believe that.
That's it. If Professor Zauro goes to the Ministry of Education, he's going to overhaul that system. And many people will fall victim. And maybe here a party chairman, maybe here in the Standing Bureau will have some disagreement on it. So that's why I see Professor Zauro is standing also and giving advices. Because they know his view, they know his stance. So if you put in charge of the Ministry of Education, he will rule. And that will cause problem for him and the Standing Bureau. So he chose to stay there and give his counsel to the team. That's all. Professor, I believe they have Professor Zauro, if he said now he wants to go to head the Ministry of Education, they will give him that job. But the condition that Mr. President, I will have to have my will, my free will to restructure.
He's not willing to subscribe to that. I think that's the order. I want to believe that.
That's the problem. Professor can run. All he said is true. I mean, the tutoring thing he running there, yes, it gave him time to raise funds to open schools back there. But if what he want to do,
teachers, right?
Yes. What he want to take the Liberian education system, what he want to take that system to, he feel that he will not get the flexibility to do it. No, so the best thing he can do is say, okay, I will stay outside and give my counsel advice, will make suggestions. That's it. I mean, that's just my own thinking. That's just my own thinking.
Mr. So, Professor Zauro is not only a wise man, he's also a smart man. Sitting from where he sits and looking at what his colleagues are doing and where they're taking the party, he's annoyed, he's hurt. But he can't display that hurt to outsiders, he got to display it to them. At the same time, he's not willing to cry the same cry. So all he has to do is to sit out, like Mr. George said, and just advise. And it's hard to work with people who are not like-minded. And if you want to work with people who are not like-minded, you will either succumb to the will, or you will find yourself as an alien from a different world in the group. But let me throw this question in, and I don't know, Sarah or I bet, how many of you heard Thomas Fowler educational bill that he wanted to buffer?
I heard about that.
I think something. I mean, I don't know.
Well, let me see the last minute to time person here. Let's see whether we can accommodate them. Maybe they're going to bring redemption to Liberia. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Toll. How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up, my man?
Not too bad. I just call with a couple of comments for the professor. You know, it baffles me. And people in our society who supposedly know better, sometimes they will kowtow to issues that they shouldn't do that. The issue of press freedom in Liberia is not something that we should be tipping toe around. First of all, even if a man is charged, Costa is not a fugitive because he hasn't been officially charged by the government. The government cannot be retroactive in the execution of the law. People were talking about how the radio station D15 hasn't had a license for 2 years. Whose responsibility is that? That's the government. Press freedom has to truly be free. You cannot be hurt by something and then you use the law to retaliate in that fashion. It is dangerous for all of us. And somebody at the professor's age should understand this. Like, we are going through so many things. We cannot have this over and over and over again. Look, you don't have to like me. We have Freedom FM in the country, literally spewing garbage, threatening people. Even during the election,
that's the most dangerous network in Liberia. Freedom FM?
They're not closing them down. Okay? I don't care about Costa. I don't care what Costa does. But the issue here is, if you start tampering with press freedom, eventually it will go to the next person and the next person and the next person. The issue of press in Liberia is an inalienable right. It is not with the government, the executive. Look, you cannot take my rights away without going through the courts. If you feel there's something, take me to court. Liberia has a extradition treaty with the United States. Come for Costa, do whatever, but you cannot be following this guy. It makes the government look very bad. And the professor said something in the beginning. Look, the President Weah went to all these schools. I was so excited about them that he went to these schools and exposed what's happening in our society. Let's address those. He's talking about roles in the country. We're talking about the issue of employment in the country. Let's address those. Every time you follow this guy, what you're doing, you're weakening the government by extension. I heard him on BBC. I heard him on VOA. This is a serious issue. And the professor, knowing better, refusing to address these people. I'm not saying you should do it openly, but you at least understand that what you're doing is extremely dangerous for Liberia and for all of us. And I just want to make that point. Thank you so much.
Okay, my man, right there. Okay, are you guys there, guys?
Yeah, we're hearing you. I heard.
Okay, yeah. I don't think I'm not in support of that because today is he. And like I said, Samuel Doe did it to crack down on the media industry. It didn't work. The most, how you call it, Charles Taylor did that to get on here with the media. It didn't work. And I don't think, George, we are going to do that. Neither any other person, especially with the involvement.
George Weah won't do that. George Weah will not do that. George Weah will not muzzle the press. Trust me, if tomorrow the president called for dinner, you have more than 90% of the press people going to support.
Matter of fact, yeah, he calls for it, and then there are other people that are doing the dirty work. Let me see.
No. What I'm saying to you, the president has a very cordial relationship with the press in Liberia. Do you know how many press people are fed up with Costa?
Oh, Professor, do you want us to really get this conversation again? Let me go to these people. Let them make their 5 comments so we'll wrap up for the evening.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, you are the last caller. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is ZEAN Documents Duarte III. Thanks for the show, man. I've been here listening. But I think we're not really addressing the main issues. We always try to backslide when it comes to what needs to be addressed. I visited a couple of different forums quite recently since Costa is one of the biggest discussion on as to whether you should go on radio or not. Why should that be a major issue with the Liberian government trying to stop people from going on radio? It just shows how naive our leaders are. These guys are very incompetent. They're not doing anything productive. As a sound government, why will you worry about someone coming on the radio? As a sound government, worry about doing the right thing. This is very basic. Worry about doing the right thing to move the country forward. If you do the right thing to move the country forward, why would you have to worry about Costa? It just shows how much of an idiot these guys are. If you do the right thing as a government, why would you have to worry about Costa coming on radio? This is very basic, guys. I would just sit back and listen. And we get very frustrated when we hear these guys calling themselves leaders. They don't say things that make sense. It's very frustrating. But I will sit back and listen, Mr. So.
All right, thank you, Omer. Please, we can get man. So that let me go to the number here. 713 number here 3953. Caller.
Yeah. Good evening to everybody. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Professor Zawolo.
Okay.
First of all, I want to say thanks to everybody for gracing the platform. Well, the issue about Costa, I don't know why is the government continuing to elevate my brother to the level. I expect, actually I was expecting the government to be discussing the recent incident that occurred where the president visited the which one the government school. He was so disappointed. I expected this issue to be the topic. For to be discussing why is it that this issue, the disability condition of the public schools, why is it like that one? Joshua is fighting hard to make education number one in West Africa or Africa. Why? Then we have Costa business coming up, just overshadowing everything, the whole entire country. So I don't know what's wrong with the government of Liberia. It seems to be like they just afraid of this brother. They're afraid of the man. If you know the man is a sweetie face. He's been out of the country. They mentioned it right here, America. Yeah, you elaborate America. That's small relationship. A partner and step-child relationship. Same for the man. Tell Uncle Sam, I got one of my sons in our country. He's stepping out too much. If I bring the man down here, and but every time Costa. I think they're just missing everything, man. It's frustrating, man. We got a issue to be discussing to move forward. And Professor Zawolo, even though I didn't follow the show from the beginning because we're on another platform dealing with some other people who couldn't understand the situation with this thing. So next time I pray to follow you from the beginning because I hear people saying that you're not ready, speaking on to adequate to the issue. Ooh. But I hope you're not also thinking about working in the government like, but even if you think of that, it's not wrong, but please speak truth to power. So our edited people, we
we ain't come here for a couple of days. I think they're going to make a extension on this program here tonight.
Please, before I go, Papa, my father used to tell me to fight for your future. Me, I tired telling my own child like brought to that your future of 44. So we tired with this thing. There's like a vision cycle, please. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Let me call, guys, please hold on to the veteran journalist James Gomiant of the State Radio was calling. Let me call him back here. Hello? Hello?
Yes, hello?
Yeah, Mr. Gomiant.
Yes, my brother. How are you doing?
Good. I guess you are calling to participate on the show, right?
Yes, I just wanted to say one or two things.
Okay. One or two things. Yeah, hold on 1 second. Go. One or two things. When you see the veterans, you got to pay respect. It is you guys, we are trying to follow suit. Whether we're catching up or not, we're still in the learning process. You formerly work with ELW8 and State Radio ELBC. From the door time way back, I'm not sure what our government getting in the throats of media personnel or media institution. No government has ever survived that tried to take that sort of train from military time, Taylor, and Helen Johnson Sirleaf, and we are time. And then trademark for that government wins so easily over the media industry. You can remember in your career.
Yes, thank you, Mr. So. But what the government of Liberia is doing is very dangerous. And I'm speaking to you. I am a witness to some of these things. My own editor-in-chief was killed in Liberia by a government. We have BBC reporters whose houses were burned in Liberia. If you can recall, Isaac Bantu.
Bantu, right.
The government of Liberia needs to stop what they are doing, going after the press, and there's no reason to go after Costa. There's no reason. And if we sit and say that, okay, Costa is saying this, saying that, so we agree to that, is very dangerous. And if it happened to Costa, Brother ZEAN, it's going to happen to you.
Oh, yeah. What?
There will be no way they're going to stop anywhere. So there are issues in the country. Instead of government addressing those issues, they are creating non-issues to be issue in the country. There are things, and Professor Zawo, thanks for coming, but for you to say, even if the president invite the press to dinner, all of them will go, you got good rapport with them. That's not the issue we are talking. We're talking about setting a stage for something that will destabilize a nation. You cannot go after press freedom in the country. Press freedom is important to a democracy. And the president needs to desist from what they are doing and let people speak their mind. I'm afraid of those kind of steps when government are taking, because I have witnessed those things in person. And it is a wrong thing for the Liberian government to engage in. And the second thing I wanted to say is, yes, Professor Zavlo talking about he has schools in Liberia. Professor Zavlo, if you all know the leadership in Liberia, you all need to help our people by talking to them to bring meaningful changes in the country. Our educational system is so bad. In fact, the whole thing needs to be overhauled. I always say, if a country is producing students that after high school cannot even read, there's a serious problem. I know it didn't start with this administration, but this administration was put in place to make things better, to make things happen. So it's not good to have behind, we met all these problems here, these problems were here, and we put you there to do something about those problems. We didn't put you there for everything to remain the same. And if you have a nation that is producing students, like I always say, if what you are putting out cannot meet the developmental needs of your country, then you need to rethink what you're doing. So anyway, but I saw you guys been on for long. I just wanted to pull one or two things into that.
No, I think, Mr. Gomian, your voice is really mattered. You being on. I mean, this is something that plays right into your own hands, because I know that it brings back to memory based on what I just heard from you, being a media guru when we were nowhere and stuff like that. When you guys stay on air, we monitor to see what happened, and that's exactly what we are seeing here. It's just not a good thing. We're not going to just badmouth government, but any institution and governments that try to muscle the media, and when the media is compromised, democracy of the democratic system of the country, it just in a mess. And so I don't know whether it's a sort of addiction to this guy here. They just give him unnecessary publicity and to make him to be like a giant. There's no reason for that. I don't know. I just don't understand. If he commits a crime, he was in Liberia arresting. You can't arrest him. You can't do anything. He comes there, he will get thousands of people going in the street, disturb other people's businesses, markets and stuff. You will never charge him. You will call him for questioning. You let him go. The same very security facility him get out of the country. And then when he wants to air something, and you say, come on, this just complete. It's just mess, man.
But you know what again? File charges.
Right. Thank you so much.
You know what again? File charges.
Okay, let me go to the guy. That's veteran journalist James Gomian, formerly of the State Radio ELBC ELW8. They're on the line from New Jersey. My own boy, Baron Brandt, welcome. And this is LPR. So, Professor.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Ooh, at a certain time, the government pledged the premise that they were going to strengthen the communications, the media, the public relation aspect. I don't think that was done, because the distraction.
I don't think the issue here is about what government media.
No, because they If it is, the reason I'm saying that, if it was a case, the government knows where to go and who to be addressing. All of this. Is that worrying the Minister of Information to come up with a press statement? And they should come on a comprehensive press statement following the visit of the president, what the administration intends to do. Not Costa going to detour and this and that, whether he goes there or not. The man's still going to be on the air. So what is the point? Why you try to validate? Why you try to elevate him so much?
The Minister of Information should not be the one signing such a press release.
I'm telling you, this is ridiculous.
Costa is a non-entity. He's a fugitive of justice.
Oh my goodness, there we go.
And our security forces have the wherewithal to apprehend and remind him to the post docket to stay there pending trial. So I don't see why the Minister of Information.
Let me ask you. This guy here, Costa, is his voice getting to the international community that is becoming a problem to the national government, or what?
Liberia has sufficient resources to run this country. We do not run our country based on what the international community would say or what the international community would say. We are a sovereign nation. We operate according to the laws of
Nigeria. Give me a break. Sovereign nation. We are a sovereign nation. That I know.
No distinction here. Costa is not a pressman. He's not a media personality. He's not, right? He's a pundit. He's a talk show host. And so let's separate this whole thing about president is going against the government of Liberia is going against the press. No, the government of Liberia is not going against the press. The press and the government of Liberia has a very cordial relationship, and that relationship.
Okay,
the press.
Okay. Yeah, but hold on. That talking about that. This is a release from my president that as a president of the Republic of Liberia, PUF vowed to challenge the closures of media institutions.
Yeah, that's good.
Costa is a commentator. He's not, as far as I'm concerned, he's not a member, and he had made that crystal clear. He's not a member of the Press Union of Liberia. However, Press Union as a mother organization to intercede or supersede all outlet, whether you for them, against them, he has spoke against it. But the media, our job or his job, Charles Coffey, is to speak to those values and the principles of what the media stands for. So any attempt by a person, first and foremost, what makes it very ugly is established fact that Costa is a member of the opposition. So whatever he says, and the government decide to act on it, is just as cracking down on the opposition. That what's what about?
No. Let me tell you something. And I like the fact that the media, the Press Union of Liberia has said it will challenge the government. That's how it should be. So that's why that's a clear indication of this government commitment to the rule of law and the respect for the rights of freedom of speech. That the Press Union has the ability to question government's decision on stopping an insurrectionist.
No, that's not what the Press Union said. They said the closure of media institution.
But that's what I'm saying.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's see here. Let's do this here. I hate to do this.
Yeah.
Costa is a troublemaker. Let me put it in the close context of someone's rationalist or whatever you call it. Why is the network still functioning? The man still here. You still get his manager there. They're still relaying. So why government not taking action?
That's again is an indicative of our government commitment to press freedom. So you see, it's a
contradiction. If he's here and his manager, who are also taking instruction from him, allegedly, it's like other politics.
Yeah, the manager is not giving him power,
and he's still relaying there, and the structure is still living. So then, what's the point of he doing it?
Not engaging in foul, divisive, and incendiary comments on radio. So you can't punish him for the action of his boss. If you are carrying on the action of his boss, that's a different thing. But
so who is the owner of the institution?
It doesn't matter.
Let me come in here.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you're not engaging in foul speech, if you're not engaging
when the outlet in which his sounds, his voice echo across the nation, when he's still living and well, and you say somebody that is there, maybe the person there as a proxy, he is not a person, but he Costa is the owner that is operating, is not a problem. But
you're not 100% sure of the business registration of that entity. You don't know whether everything has remained the same. So you don't have privy to that information. So you cannot say it remains his. You don't know what might have transpired behind the scene.
Okay, so fair to mention, that's a very good and valid argument. Now, this is the other network that he's trying to use. So it's no different from what we are saying here. So he's using that one and his voice still going across the nation. So then why they can't even close the other one as well?
So well, that's what I'm saying. It might be different arrangements. So I don't understand. I don't know why he does so. Here's what I was saying to you. The president, the government of Liberia, look, it's not about afraid of whom? Afraid of a loose talking kind of. You can't be afraid of those kind of people. The man was rejected by the voters. He ran. He was rejected by the voters.
Guys, we gotta cut the deal. We gotta cut it off for the night.
Yeah, the man was rejected by the voters. The man comes on air and cries to people who are not giving him money to sustain him here. So the man got tons of problems. Government cannot be afraid of such a non-entity. But here's the thing. The government still cannot allow one individual to be threatening the safety and security of the people of the country. That cannot happen. It could be me. The government must prosecute me. We should not allow that. We should not support that.
All right, gentlemen, unfortunately, the old man on the water time is extremely against me. Pat George, 1 minute, missing 1 minute, and then we will go.
I just want to say this thing here. The Costa issue, the government is fighting a losing battle. The government has a problem international image. They cannot find any document to extradite Costa. The government does not have a good human rights record. Last year, check the records. So, it's there. The U.S. Embassy, go there, you will see what they say about them. So, even if they have a genuine case, when they file based on those things, when they present it, the government will say the man's safety cannot be guaranteed, so we cannot send him to Liberia. It's the same thing they went to Freetown, to extradite him from Freetown, they were not successful. So I just want to say on a note, but Mr. So watch out. There's another issue coming up. The government of Liberia are planning to give the work permit or registering thing to an Arab company. That the next one will come to talk about.
Messi?
Mr. George, this forum has been very engaging. And for Liberia to move forward, I will beg the president to take time in hasty talks, measure his words, and I also advise him to take actions, appropriate action, if he wants to move the country where he dreamed it to be. I asked him to take action, appropriate action. Other than that, is
okay. So, Professor?
Yep.
Any damage control statement or departing comment?
No, it's not damage control statement. Look, I respect everything has been said here tonight. I think what we did was that we engaged the issues. I think the audience out there that have been very critical of some of my positions. That's what this is about. We disagree to agree. We want to see Liberia become a better place to live. The differences we have is procedural. They are not antagonistic, and I hope we can all maintain that and continue to engage and discuss. By doing this, by engaging these kind of discussions, we can find a common ground and fix the many vexing problems of our country, and bequeath posterity a better country. So thank you very much, and thank you to the audience out there.
Our invitation is still out with for proportionate news balancing. Our invitation is still out with GOL, that's the government of Liberia, and ID toward family. To get precisely who broke the law, what went wrong, we place a court, Press Secretary Solo Kebe, deputy, what his name, the deputy, up to Preston, nobody ever got back, nobody returned our call.
We'll get you from going to be very soon.
Our senator, in fact, when Fagon was preaching the CDC soundbite, he was a body here. But since he became minister, I invited him 555 times. Everybody.
I'll try to get him here to come and take care of Mr. George and Mr. Mason. I'll bring him in.
Bodies in Ghana. I bet you tell myself to be good bodies in Ghana.
So, you know, there are a lot of things going to be coming here. Mason will be coming here with the constitution.
First question.
Yes. Eh?
Fagon is my first question.
But you see, so that Fagon can in that screen,
family tree
So
campaign.
we're going to be having a conversation here. I will be hosting Representative. It should have been yesterday, but we tabled it. Representative Foko, District number 9, Mona Blood. I see. I listened to the young man. I think he has some good basic ideas. And those are the things. I think the government needs to focus. Apparently, they are being so distracted. It almost looked like behaving like Trump. I call West Wing or East Wing now. I mean, they need to focus. Forget about Costa. A further arrest. Even the government can even contact Facebook if they strongly believes what he's doing is illegal and is dangerous for the country. He can be stopped. Why you think?
And it's a good point, Mr. So you make it because guess what? I'll be very honest with you. I've made Facebook taking several people off Facebook because of a threat to me, the president of Liberia, and to the government and people of Liberia. I've chased people off Facebook. Yes, I've done it. I've not succeeded. No, I said I'm not engaged Costa. I think that'll be my next tax because I've engaged Facebook. I'm very relentless in that. In fact, there's another American guy called Philip Scott. He had to apologize because he was delving into Liberian issue, and he didn't.
I saw that guy on Facebook before.
Okay, all right.
Excuse me, Mr. George.
Yeah,
gentlemen,
and I will engage Facebook.
Excuse me, Mr. George. Can I ask you guys to do me a favor?
Yeah, say it again.
Can I ask you guys to do me a favor? I put up 2 podcasts and on Liberia Constitution page on Facebook. Can you guys please go there, take a view of it, and give me some feedback?
Okay.
Improvement.
Okay.
What's your name on Facebook?
Okay.
Liberia Constitution.
All right. Have a pleasant night, guys.
Let me see the hands of the warrior in this house. Put your hands together for the Lord and let your enemy grieve about it. Let the devil know we have a mighty God and a consuming fire. My guys, my warrior, I'm a leader. Warrior, I'm a leader. Oh, warrior, I'm a leader. My guys, my warrior, I'm a hero. Warrior, I'm a leader. Yes, I'm almighty.
Well, folks, that's how we're going to bring the curtain down here this evening. I'm ALPHONSO ZEAN, so it's 10:29 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio. To our viewers and listeners, I want to thank you so much. For those of you that participated, your comments, your views, we're going to go back and see where we can pick up from, where we can learn. We're always here to discuss issues affecting our country. We are not for, we are not against. We make information, we make the conversation proportional to give everybody the opportunity to speak and express their views and opinions about their country. It's all about Mama Liberia. Thank you so much for being part of today's program. I will be back here, same time, same stations, in subsequent time for more conversation. But please, the government, stop wasting your time. Something that you know that's not going to work. Focus, do what is right. Then Costa will not have a talking point. But your action consistently and repeatedly to validate all what he's been saying. It's mostly in the press. I don't agree with him on most of his things and things that he talk and the way he channel his grievances, but that is wrong. You're doing it today to him. It could be tomorrow. I can bring anybody here who can be a contributor, but have a very strong voice or strong opposing voice, and you will tell me and say, don't be open. I have the network is also in Liberia. So suppose somebody start expressing strong feelings or observations about the government, then will you say we should shut it down? I think it's wrong. Focus on the issue. Address the numerous challenges facing the country. Forget about Costa. Costa is just minute. He's a radio host. He's going to talk. You know that he's within that opposition. What you are doing now You elevating, you are energizing the opposition to give them more reason why your way of doing things, you have things you are on things that you are doing and for which this young man is talking about. And very first of all, the same very people that are within the system feeding him on the daily basis with information. So you are just validating his talking point, giving him more room to talk. Please focus and do what you're supposed to do. Then he has live talking. All right, at the end of the day, we are the winner at Liberia. We want the best of Liberia to come into place. And please, the media helps society to strengthen society. Without the media, democracy is not strengthened. Democracy will be strong. And this is what we do now want. There must be a freedom of speech must be exercised across the length and breadth of Liberia. You see it happening here. All right? Until otherwise it poses danger. But a young man was in the country. You say he committed a crime. You call in and you're liking to walk away. Security facilitate his departure from the country. And he's way up here. You say you want to, we don't even know the charges. If he did wrong, fighting charges. Liberia and USA has a bilateral lane and see whether he can be extradited. Other than that, you guys should start wasting our time. Until then, folks, have a pleasant evening. And by God's willing, we're going to be back here to have more conversations. I'm ALPHONSO ZEAN, so have a pleasant night.
You've worked for months to bring your or your client's event to life.